All right. Hi, folks. Thanks for tuning in. It is Taryn and Justin here from our Bristol location, Galen and Steve that you might see on the screen there from our Morristown location. And we are signing back on for a little revamp of a term you may have heard of quite a while ago called lightning in a bottle. It's been a little while since we've used that term. Our goal with this podcast is got a couple different ideas in mind. Number one being to break down some of the details, benefits, and actual packages associated with Bristol's new sauna and cold plunge areas that are now becoming available for use. And then also start finding ourselves in the groove of more consistent podcasting. After us recently meeting as a group, we decided that it's best to allow you to keep your kind of finger on the pulse of Jim's business and Jim's new offerings and challenges, etc., through the use of this podcast. So here we are. Justin, Steve, Galen, how we doing, boys?
Sore. Still sore on Friday.
Yeah. On Friday. So yeah, we're recording this one post Andy, which was 100 of all of those light barbell movements. So all of us still beat up, probably just like those of you listening to this one. So 'tis the season for 12 days of Christmas.
Trap still. And we did a typical push-up workout when we do a guys weekend. Well, we did the girls as well this weekend, but so Taryn, was it you that wanted to do who wanted to do the push-up ladder? Galen's fault.
Galen was the push-up, and then for whatever reason, I
didn't choose a ladder.
I got some kind of ladder idea.
Yeah.
Next thing you know, we did how many?
I think it was 165 or something like that push-ups, and we tried to stay unbroken, but once you get 25 plus reps or 20 plus reps, it's pretty hard after being fatigued. So
yeah. And forgive me also, guys, if you haven't noticed yet, we also have one more guest here in the Bristol location. She's a celebrity, probably the best athlete in our gym, definitely the most endurance-based. Her name is Rosa Barks, to be specific, and she has her hot dog with her. So she'll be joining us, so bear with us. So ultimate goal today is not make this too long-winded, but definitely get you guys some details on why we thought it to be important to put a sauna and cold plunge in the Bristol location. This is kind of our maybe we call it trial, maybe we call it just starting point, with the aim to eventually hopefully put one also in the Morristown location. So we thought it best let's do it in podcast form. Let's explain the details, why we think it's important, some of the health benefits and such, and then explain the packages associated with that. All right. How's that sound, boys? Sounds good. Okay. Cool. So as you've all mentioned in the Bristol or noticed in the Bristol location, we now have a cold plunge that functions in what used to be the coach's office and a sauna that functions what used to be in our maintenance closet or our storage closet for our cleaning supplies. If you haven't had the chance to use those yet, we highly recommend you doing so. We are continuing to leave those available for trial periods or a way to test the waters up until the 15th of December. On which then we will offer that as a package for you to then bolt onto your membership. And that package is going to be called
the Vitality Package.
So it's something that we certainly believe in. Thus the reason we decided as a business to invest a pretty large chunk of money into those products and into that space, because we think not only is it beneficial for you mentally, but also physically and wellness outside of the gym. So want to go ahead and start breaking into some of the details of one of the other?
Yeah, we can maybe start with the cold plunge first. So we want to give you the tools to make you a 10x your life. So improve everything, whether it be movement and nutrition, recovery, and community. So our 4 pillars of health. And this is a way we can improve that and hopefully give you some more benefits while not just doing more exercise or tending to be more strict on your diet or anything like that. So we want to start off. So we in Bristol end up buying what we call the plunge, so a cold plunge basically. So it's a self-cleaning, self-regulating temperature cold plunge and benefits. It's been around for ancient times. It's what Rhonda Patrick said in her thing, and I thought that was a good thing. So we didn't always have warm water while we were bathing and stuff like that. So, and just help with recovery and all that stuff. We also have a sauna that goes anywhere from 80 degrees to 190 degrees. So we have that. Galen's well known for his sauna sessions at his house. So we're just trying to give you other ways to improve everything that we are trying to encapsulate this 10X life that which we always hashtag on every post.
Both the sauna, one thing I wanted to mention, and I kind of found it to be maybe worth our time to hit a quick definition, because if you've had the chance to listen to someone that Justin mentioned, Rhonda Patrick, or if you've tuned into Andrew Huberman or the many others that have now started talking a lot more about cold exposure, deliberate cold exposure, and deliberate high heat exposure through sauna, you've probably heard them kick around the term hormesis. Galen, does that ring a bell? Steve, does that ring a bell? Cool. I'll just read the definition that's kind of been released about that, because I think not only it pertains to the sauna and cold plunge, but also other factors that we toss at you in life, maybe through challenges or just your hour of gym. So just a quick Google definition. The first thing that pops up for that term hormesis is it's an adaptive response of cells and organisms to moderate, usually intermittent stress. So that can be, as examples, they include exercise, dietary energy restriction or fasting, exposures to low doses of certain phytochemicals, so eating some plant material, and then also a stressor being obviously hot, cold, or short-term activity at high intensity. So both of those, if not a lot of different angles that we throw at you in life, generate hormesis, and those have been shown to improve a lot of health markers. But I thought that'd be a decent maybe definition to toss into the mix. Galen, Steve, anything to add to those ideas?
Yeah, I was going to say for the cold plunge or the sauna, we could talk about this for hours on length as far as the benefits of it. But I think we left out a name, Wim Hof, if you guys know that name at all. But that's the king of the cold right there. And I think he made this super famous. And he has a lot of really cool experiments that he was put through, and you guys can check those out. There's a lot of good material on that. But one of the biggest things, even if you don't like a cold plunge, and that's something else I think we should talk about, is the mentality side of it. But if you don't like it, even if you don't like it, the immunity side of it, like if it, it keeps you from being sick. Not only does it help you recover from workouts, but it's just overall it's great for you. And like even in cold therapy or in heat therapy, you create new proteins and all. So it's not only just a workout tool, it is a lifelong, hopefully, benefit to you. And so I can only see it being a good thing. But that's what I would add to it, is I wouldn't get too caught up in, why would I do this or anything like that, but just know that it's good for everything. So, it's more of like, I'd be ignorant not to do it.
Anything you want to add to that?
We aren't Andrew Huberman or Rhonda Patrick or Wim Hof or Suzanne Soberg, who have studied these things in depth, but we are all familiar with the value. Let's just say no one's ever been in cold water. We're all familiar with the value of undertaking hard things on a daily basis. This is kind of like the yarn that we spend all the time to you guys, the choosing to do something hard and the benefit of having endured something hard. And I was listening to Huberman last night. He talked about the hormetic response. Is epinephrine, norepinephrine response. And there's a value even in overcoming the dread of getting in the cold water. So if you have a sense of dread and you overcome the dread just to get in the water for 20 seconds, 10 seconds, whatever it is, cold shower, we've done this in many years and in multiple iterations of the past, the value cannot be lightly stated. So this is just something that hopefully we'll have in-house for access on a daily basis for another challenge that you can choose or not choose. We're not saying you should do it every day. And I did a little bit of research on the minimum effective dose. So we don't need to get in there for 30 minutes and shiver our life away. 11 minutes a week is the sweet spot, broken into 2 to 4 sessions. So that turns into something like 2 to 4 minute intervals. You don't have to be in there forever. And we attended a Wim Hof seminar. What was that? 4 years ago, 5 years ago?
Yeah,
right.
Experience.
Minimum effective dose is 2 minutes, and that's generally where I stay. I plunged in your plunge, I guess it was a month or so ago, and the effect of moving water is lots different than the effect of that thermal barrier that inevitably kind of forms around you if you're in water that's not in motion, or a shower for that matter. So go for it, guys. I don't think there's, obviously be responsible with your time that you spend in there. You don't want to dive in there, go underwater and breathe or anything silly, take a snorkel just yet. But I am excited about having it here. I try to ice bath myself 3-ish times a week whenever I'm able to. And then the
brought up the idea of the hard things and the mental adaptation, because since folks have started watching us do it as coaches and as some gym members that have already started to dabble in it. When I ask some folks, they're like, I could absolutely not. I absolutely hate the cold. I would never do that. That's miserable to me.
Yeah.
I have to quickly remind them, it's like, I would venture to say no one, 0.00% of people that have gotten into the plunge so far are like literally like it. They step at the edge of it and say, this is going to be really fun, or I'm seriously looking forward to this. Like none of us like it. It's another one of those like check of the box of forcing yourself to do something that you don't want to do. It's like you entering the gym on a day that the workout doesn't tailor well to you, but you force yourself to do it, and the feeling of accomplishment afterwards is so important. It's checking a box of I made myself do something that I didn't really enjoy or didn't want to do. So I like to share that. Like no one likes to do it. No. I don't like it.
I love the feeling after.
Right. Sure. The benefits that come after the results of the,
it hurts. And studies, like we have a bunch of studies. I will link a Rhonda Patrick. She has a PDF on her website, and it's absolutely filled with as much information as deep as you want to dig. But one of the studies found men and effects of cold shock response. So basically getting in the water, how your body reacts to that. On the 5th day versus the first day trying it, they had a 49% decrease in respiratory frequency. Basically, they can calm their breathing pattern down faster, and a 15% decrease in heart rate on that 5th day versus the first day. So like anything else, if you never exercise, the more you exercise, the more you adapt to it. Same thing with this. It gets easier as you go.
Noise there?
Yeah, there's this haunted clock that we reset on a daily basis, and now it's decided to chirp at us like a cricket.
That's a fact checker.
I was about to say, yeah. Y'all both looked at each other like, I'm pretty sure what Justin said is true.
So maybe a bomb in here. I don't know.
That's wild. But that means it's like everything. And that can be a muscle you train as well. Right? So that's what we're looking for.
So that's probably one of the main benefits. There's obviously plenty more, but the mental resiliency side of things, that's why Huberman always talks about deliberate exposure to cold. It's one thing that like you just happen to be in a cold environment or you choose to do so. That's a different experience than forcing yourself to get into that very uncomfortable situation. The gain in mental resiliency through those exposures, like Galen said, just getting in, maybe it's for 20 seconds and then building upon that day to day is a win that starts to grow. So mental resiliency.
Brag on Taryn. We got a rule sheet on the wall and all that stuff. Like you got to do certain things before you get in the cold plunge. Taryn also put like a scaling guide. So we have like a will and the function in the gym. He put kind of like a will and the function on the wall in there. Like if you can just get into your knees, like Taryn said, start there. Like it's great. It's in the office, and we'll have a little bit updated, better presentable version of that than just a whiteboard, but that'll be coming in the future as well.
One thing to add to the minimum effective dose, or just like the basic, everybody wants to like get to the gist of the story. Like what do I need to do and how long do I need to do it? If you're able to delay jumping into a warm shower after you ice bath, it's named after the lady who studied it, Suzanne Soberg. It's called the Soberg principle. And a lot of the value obviously comes from being immersed in the water, but some secondary and maybe as valuable benefit comes from using your metabolism to warm yourself back up. So warming up by moving or by using a rough towel or by not just jumping into a hot shower. If you can delay, or if you can use your body's thermostat to come back up to temperature, it's even more valuable. So remember, 11 minutes on average per week, 2 to 4 sessions. And if you're able, come back to homeostasis under the might of your own thermostat.
Yeah, perfect. That's the point, because we can definitely get into the weeds of that. You might have heard us mention brown fat and stuff. You could probably dig in and do your own research on that for the sake of time. I don't know if we want to get into those weeds because we'll just maybe lose you guys. So
yeah, there's a thing, shivering thermogenesis and non-shivering thermogenesis. So if you're shivering thermogenesis, you probably need to do something to get yourself warmed back up, from what I've read. Is that what y'all have read? Yeah. So whether that's movement like Galen's doing, or breathing in and saying woosah.
So what Galen's doing is my very first experience with that kind of cold water and some breathing techniques that go along with it is what Steve mentioned earlier, and that's the Wim Hof. And afterwards and before, it was kind of a a communal preparation for it and a recovery period afterward. They had us to do some unique movements that you might see. I don't know where you would see that stuff, but
it almost looks like Tai Chi.
it does kind of look like Tai Chi. Or if you stumbled across a village of tribal folks out in the jungle, you might see them doing it together. Something's what I felt like, but that was a way to warm back up. So yeah, that's cool.
Yeah. Something else I would add, he was talking about warming up. You actually burn calories when you do cold showers, plunges, however you want to say it. You burn calories by the fact that your body does have to reheat you. So it could be another way to, I'm not saying it's a weight loss tool, but it wouldn't hurt in that regard.
Yeah.
So another thing I was reading about the other day was like the lymph system gets flushed out each time that you do it. And then we were talking about, how painful it is and how bad it is. But if you get one of those done, like maybe an hour before you go to bed, you sleep like a champ. You feel amazing. So that's another, I think, benefit for me mentally.
And I got kind of a list here, like just benefits. We're looking at norepinephrine. Say that word. Norepinephrine. That's like Pacific versus specific with me. I graduated third grade. So it's hard word. That's released. Cold shock proteins, mitochondrial biogenesis, which basically new mitochondria is formed. So that'll actually help improve aerobic capacity in that sense because, hey, Rosa, you'll be like Rosa one day. So that's what we're looking for. Also, brown fat building. So white fat is not easily accessible. So when you have like fatty acid storage, you're going to get a little bit fatter. But if it's brown fat, it's a little bit more easy accessible. And as Galen is talking about doing that movement or letting your body warm back up on its own, if you have brown fat that's accessible, it's going to make that even quicker and you're going to feel better even sooner. Terry mentioned earlier, improved immune function. What else? We got decreased inflammation, decreased pain in people with arthritis, and exercise inflammation is decreased as well. So tons of stuff, tons of benefits, and also brain and mood cognition. This is people take pills, like we call them happy pills. Like if you do a cold plunge, it is the happiest, most chill, feeling ever. Like the world's just perfect after I get out of the cold plunge. That's me personally, so that's a little bit anecdotal, but I love it.
Yeah, and you could attribute that to the studies that have shown an increase and a sustained increase across a long period of time of dopamine. So you've probably heard that term before. There's pills that trigger that and help the body to keep that circulating in the bloodstream. This has been shown to do that without taking those little packed in powdery substances. You can do it just by overcoming some cold exposure. So definitely increases there.
Anecdotal stuff as well in the gym. Michael Sheeran, love that guy. He has been doing it almost every day afterwards, and he has a whoop strap that he's been tracking, and he showed me his week before he started the cold plunge, like his recovery versus the week after he started cold plunge, and every day he was completely recovered in the green. We'll say 85+% after doing the cold plunge. That's also an electronic device. You can also tell that by how you feel, look, and perform, the old Rob Wolf saying. Cool.
Do we want to discuss the before or the after training? If you're after specific things, recovery versus hypertrophy and all that stuff?
We can do that. We can do that, that's fine.
Some studies showing hypertrophy, if you do cold right after which is basically bodybuilding type stuff, or gaining muscle mass, may actually stunt that just a little bit, right, T?
Yeah, so it's like anything. There's no one size fits all approach. There's no right or wrong way to do it. You just have to ask yourself what you as an individual are looking for, what your goals are. So for example, someone like myself who struggles, at no one's fault but my own, to put on lean muscle mass, I'm going to do my best to steer clear of hopping right into the cold post exercise, especially if it's a day that gets me into those kind of hypertrophy rep ranges, things that are like some of the lifting days we do that get you into those 10, 12, 15 rep ranges. I'm not going to hustle over and hop into the cold plunge because yes, there's a potential association based on some studies that show that the recovery process from hypertrophy activity is stunted, or in other words, you don't get the gains that are associated with hypertrophy if you're rapidly cooling yourself back down. You want that response to go 4 to 6 hours after the experience of the gym training session. However,
there's a note at the bottom of it that says other studies have shown different. So
yeah, and there's other routes if that's not your goal. Yeah. If your goal is to wake up every day feeling as optimized as possible. Maybe lean more towards the endurance side of working out. Then it's shown that post-exercise plunging can actually, as Justin mentioned earlier, improve the recovery aspects, which would in turn allow you to train a little bit better the next day from an endurance side of things. So you just must ask yourself case by case which one you prefer, what your goal is, and then move forward from there. Galen, do you have anything to add, or Jay or Steve, to that?
I got a study actually on here that I copied from that. So just to kind of give you some numbers. Exercise inflammation, cold plunge has been shown to show a decrease in inflammation. And one of the things that causes inflammation is C-reactive protein. When people just did endurance exercise and then did like a passive recovery versus endurance training and then did some sort of cold therapy, the C-reactive protein increase with the cold plunge is 123%. So you're still going to get some stressors, you're still going to get some inflammation, which is okay, that's good. But when they just did a passive, it was up to 515%. So you're doing almost 4 times better at minimizing inflammation with the cold plunge versus doing some sort of passive recovery, which is really, really interesting. And that's one of those things Taryn was talking about with endurance related type stuff versus hypertrophy type. So it's really, really interesting. And we'll link this in the show notes below so you can check this article out by her. She has all the studies cited in the article as well.
And it might be worth saying, either way, however you approach it, don't let all this information we're throwing at you and that's found on this PDF have you to get lost in the weeds, or to have you to throw your hands up in the air and say, I don't know when, I don't know how, I don't know what. The experience in and of itself and you getting in that cold plunge is going to provide a net benefit for you whatsoever, whether that be the mental resiliency side of things, the short-term pain relief side of things, etc. Yeah. So don't overthink it. Maybe ask yourself what you're after, dig into the details if you're a details person, but at least experience it.
Start, and then you can figure out what path to take after you get started. Just like exercise, it's better to have done it than not have done it, lost in the analysis paralysis state. Just get in there.
Perfectly. Yeah. Perfectly so. Cool. Do we want to switch to sauna really quick too? Awesome. So yeah, we have that going on now. And fortunately enough, after our build out, our heater wattage and size of the room that we have, we worked out perfectly for the range that we were after. Our sauna looks like it's wanting to set at about the 180 to 100 and low 90s range, depending how many times the door is opened and how long it's been running. Most of the research has been conducted within that 175 to kind of 212 range, depending on what study you look at. That kind of covers multiple different options. So we're right in the sweet spot, but we also want you to understand that's hot. If you don't have a lot of sauna experience, ease in, just like we talked about with the cold plunge. Make sure that you are taking baby steps. 3 minutes, 5 minutes, 10 minutes, 15 minutes. Studies have gone up and shown all the way up to 30 minutes of experience in that kind of temperature range. But be smart, listen to your body. That's obviously one of the most important parts of safety. We as CrossFit folks like to PR, if you will. The sauna is probably not a place to do it. So be smart, listen to yourself, and work your way on up little by little, just listening to how your body feels. It's a pretty intense response that you're going to get. So that just covers us from a safety standpoint. Also, one thing we probably should mention too, you've probably heard us mention in class, number one being we are not providing towels nor swimming style clothing here. So bring your own bathing suit / sports bra, short type gear that you would like to wear. We're asking you to not wear anything in either of these two areas that you wouldn't wear in a public pool or public hot tub. And then please do your best to clean up after yourself. The plunge obviously dumps a good bit of water on the floor as you get out. So help us help you keep it clean. And then take those items with you. We as a gym, as you guys know, our space isn't huge. So we don't have a lot of space to house towels that stay damp and clothing that stays damp, and that results in a different issue in and of itself. So bring it in, clean up after yourself, take it out, and be moving forward just perfectly.
That's good.
Any sciencey stuff we want to talk about sauna wise?
I did some research on the minimum effective dose and landed on a Peter Attia, another one of our Mount Rushmore heads on the fitness Mount Rushmore, if you will. And his analysis, which I trust, is somewhere in the neighborhood of 175 to 190-ish degrees, 20 minutes total, 4 times a week. So if you can accumulate 20 minutes at that temperature, graduate up. If you're not heat adapted, and let's be honest, if you're training here in the summertime, you're pretty heat adapted, right? If you're doing those Heroes Journey workouts and in the heat of those dog days, you're probably fairly heat adapted, but that doesn't mean you jump in the sauna with an Echo bike and give it the beans. That does mean you need to make sure that you graduate into this time situation. But having done it for a while myself, 20 minutes seems pretty sustainable, and 4 times a week. So you could say 80 total minutes, but in 20-minute doses, I don't think anything beyond 20 is super but see how you feel, essentially.
Yeah. As far as the science is concerned, you're going to create heat proteins. So obviously the opposite end of the plunge idea. So those proteins, basically just the opposite side, like I said. And then you're also going to have a number of other benefits as well. So you're going to have cardiovascular health that goes with it, weight loss, of course. There's even some studies that show your skin gets better over time by doing sauna sessions. And I'm sure there's a plethora of other things that I'm not recalling right now. But anyways, it is something that is even if you can't make it into the gym to work out, if you can do something like that, there's some shown benefits, again, with multiple studies like we've mentioned before, that will, link together and take you to that next level.
Well, it's ironic. It's maybe not ironic. Maybe it was purposeful that we decided to call this the vitality package, because the root word of vitality is vital, and your vitals in general will improve with exposure to cold or exposure to heat, meaning your resting heart rate, the tone of your vascular system improves, your blood pressure improves, your ability to handle stress improves, and your reflection improves if you look in the mirror.
Yeah.
That was on there.
And even I can't cite the study because I don't digest those things from memory, but all-cause mortality, Attia talks about how he thinks it feels good, it's nice to sweat. He wasn't really sold on any of the research, but all-cause mortality, all things being relative, is something like 40% improved, and then adjusted for everything, it's still an 18% improvement in all-cause mortality if you're doing it versus if you're not doing it. All things being equal, 18% improvement in your chances of dying. I'd rather not die sooner. I don't know how you.
I saw those as well, and that's the numbers that I came to the conclusion with as well. For all cause, did you see the ones on reduction of adverse cardiovascular issues as well? Very similar numbers, the 4+ times a week, a 50% improvement in the reduction of cardiovascular events. And then, I saw the 4 to 7 times per week, 40% in all-cause mortality. And then obviously you covered the adjustments there too. So, and those were right in the ranges that you were talking about, the 4 times per week type deal at 20%, or 20 minutes or so. So, very good. So Steve mentioned the improvements in just like aerobic type function, or keeping you in more of an aerobic workout heart rate range. So for you data folks that like to wear the Whoop straps that Jay alluded to and like to track heart rate and such, the sauna is a really good way also, whether it be a day that you don't have time to work out, but you can hustle in and get in for 20 minutes, or you want to carry the effects of your workout even further. Aids obviously in the weight loss idea, because in your amount of time in the sauna there, your body's fighting to cool itself off. Also, as Galen mentioned, the improvements of kind of blood vessel plasticity, ability for them to open and close, because of it trying to cool itself off and circulate blood. It helps to keep the heart rate in those aerobic type ranges just sitting there. So you can almost, I don't want to give you an easy out, but you can almost think of it as an aerobic workout while sitting on a bench in a hot box, versus being on a bike for 20 minutes and spinning to keep your heart rate at 135 or 142. So think of it as a improvement or ability to improve your aerobic, capacity in a way by just sitting in the sauna too. So I think that's really, really cool.
One thing we want to mention about that, we're just not trying to push element here, but you're going to sweat a lot more. You're going to dehydrate a lot more. Anytime you breathe harder, you're going to aspirate more water. So you need to retain more water via electrolytes, but you need to be supplementing with a ton of salt or some sort of electrolyte supplement to replace that. You sit in the sauna 20 minutes, you're going to lose a lot of weight, water weight that is.
Subjectively, when I started sauning a year or so ago, pretty consistently, I was not considering the loss of not just fluid, but all the essential minerals and things. And I had this low resolution headache for a good while. And I thought it was just me being ill-mooded and foul. But turned out I was perpetually dehydrated and under sodiumed. And this, again, sounds kind of sleazy. Maybe it is a salty sales pitch, but adding element in strategically helped. And of course, then being more conscious of drinking water throughout the day when it's cold, especially when it's cold. But there's the warm version of element too. If you guys are interested in the hot element mixes, we can provide that too.
So one thing that Galen had mentioned a little bit about the option for us to have those hot element products. If you're interested, I know a lot of people kind of cringe at the idea of putting chocolate in water and drinking it cold, and that makes perfect sense unless you're privy to that. One thing we've been doing that's helped us in the evening hours get more of that sodium and those electrolytes in is, in our case, we've been doing almond milk. You could do oat milk if you handle dairy, regular milk. If you're okay with water, and then heating it and turn it into kind of like a hot chocolate type drink. So like flip the script or flip your mind a little bit away from it being a cold experience and heat things up. That might make it a little more creamy and a little more tasty, or just do it in water and experience it in its cold form. And that might help you avoid those electrolyte imbalances if you are using the sauna a bunch. So
Yeah.
I guess we can go ahead and dive lastly into, go ahead. Sorry, G.
You want to talk about what you were saying?
Yeah, something to kind of hopefully button up this entire topic was, I was thinking of contrast recovery. So the ability to blend both the cold plunge with the sauna, and you're talking about a great elixir for physical success as far as trying to recover. And then on top of that, being able to, like we mentioned, being able to build upon the muscle building recovery aspect in general. But I can't remember the exact times I guess it's going to be similar times. And I'm not saying to do this, but there were videos out there of weightlifters literally just jumping back and forth. And it was really very beneficial to them. And these guys were, national record holders or world record holders. So I would say it'd be good for us to follow advice from that kind of individual for the most part.
Yeah, K-Star and Laird Hamilton, all of them were big, Kelly Starrett, that is, big proponents of that, like back and forth.
Not to get too nerdy again, but if you saw, Galen might have seen this when he dug down the Huberman rabbit hole. Did you see his discussion on
I seen him shirtless,
which maybe this is why he looked that way, of the contrasting effects of the hot and cold and the protocols to improve growth hormone release, endogenous growth hormone. Did you see that, Galen? Not to get lost in it, but there is a version or a way that you can do that. Probably not a way we could be overly successful with in our facilities, but they can trigger that. So you might get mild results of that just by doing standard back and forth options. But it was pretty interesting too.
Well, and another way to think about it, think of this. If you did old school bodybuilding back in the day, like we did, you have chest day Monday, you got back Tuesday, whatever, right? Your body eventually gets used to it. So the idea of like getting in cold, getting in hot, you want to shock your body. That's how you get better and better with, your physical endeavors that you're after and recovery in general. But that's something else I thought would make it easier to digest, is the fact that you want your body to be spiked, if you will. You want it to feel something different, a different stimulus. That's how you create growth. So
cool. And in the spirit of that, if you do want to entertain that idea or go about trying that, if you do go from, it does throw a little wrench in the game, but it's still possible. We've had folks do it. If you do go from the sauna and then into the cold, if you're choosing to go that route, just do us a favor and follow those guidelines of a quick rinse off in the shower beforehand, and then make your way over quickly into the cold plunge. Probably isn't going to mute the effects, but it'll help us from a hygiene standpoint. So
Yeah, feels great. Like I think I mentioned earlier, like we do training usually, sauna right afterwards, go shower, hop into cold plunge, and it's like I don't know, it's complete reset of the body. Feels amazing. That's all I'm after. I want to feel good, Dad.
I want to get bigger.
Bigger feels good, right?
Yeah, I wouldn't know. I don't know. Thank you for Cool. Let's talk about our products, or at least our packages that we're planning on releasing out for you on the 15th. And then we'll explain that one on the 15th, because it will be a little more of a promotionary idea. And then we can talk about what it's going to be in its full capacity moving forward. Jay, I'll let you dig in on that one if you would like.
All right, so what we're going to be doing, guys, on the 15th, we're actually going to start our Vitality Package membership, which you'll actually have a Watify package in your Watify protocol. So we can sign you into classes if you decide to go one of the options mostly, which is going to be the punch card. So unlimited for both is going to be $50 a month. Unlimited for one is going to be $40 a month. And then a 10 visit punch card is going to be $100 for 10 visits. Like I said, if you've ever been to another gym, Ava and Becca went to one and it was $20 per plunge, which is a lot. So we're trying not to just jack the price up and make a profit. We want this to be healthy and sustainable for you all. And for the first month, we're going to do a 50% discount on all those packages. So Galen wants to just do the sauna, and he's going to pay $40 for that first month from December 15th to January 15th. It's only going to be $20. Then on the next month, it will be back up to normal price of $40. Same thing for the unlimited, same thing for the punch card. And that's about it.
Perfect. Yeah. Awesome. So yeah, as a refresher on the ideas, not that he just covered, but where we sit now going into the 15th, continue trying those out. Use them again on the house. We want you to experience them. We want you to see the benefit and the results that you're gaining from those. And then on the 15th, that's when we will more or less be checking to make sure memberships are present for folks to be able to utilize that. So be thinking on what option might work best for you. We're clearly incentivizing the use of both because we believe in both, thus the price points there, but we do understand that you can't consistently get in there based on schedules, etc. So is where the punch card comes into play. So think what might work for you. We hope one, if not all, and let's see what kind of results and success we can generate by adding that additional mild stressor that we talked about in the beginning.
If one thing about the punch card, that relates to a day. So that does not relate to a sauna or cold plunge or anything like that. That relates to one day. So if you want to come in on your punch card visit for that and you want to do sauna and cold plunge, it's not going to take 2 visits out of that. It's just 1 day per. So I didn't clarify that just to make sure we have any questions there.
Perfect. And the punch card idea will work just like if you currently have like a 12 times per month membership. We will have a program built in Watify that you sign in, or that we sign you in as a coach. So make sure that's being communicated well. I know classes sometimes get busy and coaches are scrambling to make sure people are performing movements correctly and being safe. So honor system-esque with that, but definitely want to make sure we're getting things signed in properly on the Watify system. So.
Yes.
When it's built, they should be able to sign themselves in, because they will have that as a program to sign themselves in if you guys are, under the gun or teaching a large class.
Correct. Yeah, exactly. Just like sometimes coaches get to it first and sign people into their classes. Other times people are signing in from the house or from the parking lot or when they get here during class. So exactly. Next year. Yep. Okay, cool. Want to share anything else, Steve?
Well, I was just going to mention, the fact that the Morristown people will be wondering when we will have that here. And so my answer would be obviously dependent on how things go up there. And if they're good boys and girls, for Christmas. So we may get that. It might be, we're looking at getting it. It will be a minute. And we just kind of want to see how everything shakes out in Bristol in particular. And we hope that we can, again, add benefit to all of you guys. So that's something we plan on doing in the future as well. We'll probably go at our office, I would say, maybe for both. We don't know yet, but definitely the sauna would take place in the office and we would just forfeit that space for it.
So you guys are piloting. If you like it, members, coaches, otherwise, spread the gospel this direction. Let us know how much you do like it, how often you do use it, what problems you run into, if there are any problems, rules, behavior, misbehavior, all that stuff.
Yeah, so Bristol, this is totally on you.
No pressure. No pressure.
One of the things, the guys that we're talking about this, like if anything, listen to your body. If you feel good, use it. If you're feeling beat up, run down, maybe a little sickly, take it easy. Listen to yourself. Don't get crushed. We're trying to here to make you better, not send you the opposite way. Most of these studies are done on normal, healthy people. If you got something going on, make sure you pay extra attention to that and make sure you're eating, sleeping, and moving like you should be.
Cool. Anything further, boys, from Morristown?
I think we're good. We're excited to see how things play out up there. And another thing I would add is, be careful when you go into these implements as well. If you have any heart conditions or anything like that, just be cognizant of that.
Talk to your healthcare provider before partaking in any exercise or fitness-based thing.
Cool. All right. Well, in the spirit of that, thank you guys for tuning in. Hopefully that provided a little insight, maybe a little bit of science, maybe a few strategies, and covered the bases on how things are going to unfold from adding that to your membership and creating the Vitality Package standpoint. So, Justin, Taryn here in Bristol, Galen, Steve in Morristown,
Rosa.
signing off. Rosa, enjoy the rest of your day. Thanks,
Okay.
guys. See ya.